Hey, what's up guys? How are you doing? Welcome to the channel if you're new. Welcome back if you're returning. Today we have one of those fan favorite archetypes, very nostalgic one for GOAT format, for all of Yu-Gi-Oh! In general actually. We have a, let me say first. If you guys like GOAT, Edison, Tengu, or Hat, or any of those more niche retro formats, we do it all here. But what I was about to say is that we actually have an Edison and a Tengu version of this deck as well, so check that out. And of course subscribe, like the video, and let's get into it. This is Gravekeepers for GOAT format, 2005 variant. So Pharaonic Guardian was released a few years before this, I think 2002, right? One of those first sets, maybe 2003, I'm not sure. Alright, so first off, we're able to utilize 3 Gravekeeper Spy. Now decks that aren't even considered Gravekeepers, like Chaos Turbo and some other decks out there, they play 3 Spy just because Spy is so good. So the fact that we can utilize Spy to its full potential, not just by bringing out another Spy, but also another monster, another Gravekeeper's name, is just insanely good for us. So Spy is absolutely mandatory. You have to play it. One of the best cards in the format and very much improved in this deck. All right, next up we have 3 Gravekeeper's Assailant. We have the first editions out of Pharaonic Guardian for this one. It says you can activate this card's effect only when Necrovalley is active on the field. When this card attacks, you can change the battle position of one face-up monster on your opponent's side of the field. Now that's not the greatest, but it does let you get you over some bigger monsters that maybe have less defense. But generally speaking, there's not too many names, so we'll take what we can get. That's probably the main reason why we're playing him. Same goes for this guy, Spear Soldier. He just does piercing damage, which means that when you attack with higher attack to their defense, under normal Yu-Gi-Oh rules, the opponent wouldn't take any damage, but with piercing, they do take damage. So, yep, we're maxing out on those 9 guys. Spy is insane. The other 6 are pretty mid, but that's fine. We'll play them. Next up, we have 1 Gravekeeper's Guard. He's going to flip and return a monster on your opponent's side of the field to their hand. And then we're playing the 1 Chief, just so we can call ourselves a Gravekeeper's deck. This one says that you can only control 1 Chief, which is great because we only have 1, so we'll never run into a position where we have issues with that. It says cards in your graveyard are unaffected by Necrovalley. When this card is tribute summoned, you can select 1 Gravekeeper's monster from your graveyard and special summon it. So he's not the worst. I mean, he's basically just a free tribute, because you're going to get 1 back if you tributed the one if you tributed the one, you special summon it back. He's basically just a free tribute, right? All right, next up we have 2 Tsukiyomi. The reason why we played 1 guard, honestly, is because we wanted to play all the names, but it also has synergy with Tsukiyomi. Because we're playing 2 Tsukiyomi, we can keep flipping our guard or our spies to abuse their abilities. So I thought that was a cool interaction with Tsukiyomi and the Gravekeeper's deck. Next up we have 3 Mystic Tomato. Mystic Tomato is going to be able to float you into these guys up here that I previously was talking shit about. Because, yeah, well, hold on. Let me show you the other targets first before I finish that thought. The other targets for Mystic Tomato are 1 Songan, 1 Spirit Reaper, and Dawn Salug. So Mystic Tomato can get you into those guys, which have good effects, or it can get you into Assailant or Spear Soldier. So these guys become a lot better when Necrovalley is on the field, obviously because they have the boost. And sometimes piercing damage is good though, especially if you know you're attacking into like a Moth. But yeah. Then the last monster is going to be 1 Breaker the Magical Warrior. We're just keeping true to the dark theme, so we have old dark monsters in our deck. Not that does us any good, but yeah, because the only thing that even matters is Mystic Tomato going to darks with 1500 less attack. Breaker's obviously a little bigger, but we splash Breaker into most decks anyways. That's the monster count. Let me know if you guys would change any ratios or add any monsters, take away any monsters down below. Let's move on to the spells and traps. Okay, first up for the spells. You have your phone, your car keys, and your wallet. You can't leave home without them. These cards are insane. Really good in the format. Get you those free pluses. Next up we have Snatch Steal, Heavy Storm, MST. These are the last of our limited cards. These cards are all limited to 1 in front of you. Obviously very good cards in the format. You got to play them. You need backer removal. You never know if you're going to run into a floodgate like Skill Drain or Royal Decree or, you know, Mere Force, Trench Tribute, Rain Destruction. There's so many good cards to run into that you want to have some ability to out them. And then Snatch Steal, obviously there's a lot of Saki cards in the format like Tribe Infecting Virus, BLS, Chaos Orc that you would love to take. So this just levels the playing field a bit, and you can hold on to it for when you need it. Next up, we have one creature swap. I opted to not play 2 because I don't think we have enough recruiters. We have 3 tomato and 1 Songan. Those are going to be your best targets to hand over to your opponent. But because we're not playing 5 or more, I only felt comfortable with 1. Typically, I'll play 2 creature swap if I have like 5 things that or more that I can trade away that seem good with value. So 1 felt like the correct number. If you guys are unfamiliar, creature swap is semi-limited, so 2 would be the max we can play regardless. Okay, next up, we got the 4 Necrovalleys. We got 3 Necrovalley by name and 1 Terraforming. Necrovalley is the field spell for Gravekeepers. I should read that one because it's a very important card in case you guys don't know what it does. And we have the first editions out of Pharaonic Guardian, which I think is pretty cool, super rare. It says, as long as this card remains face up on the field, all effects of magic, trap, and or effect monsters that involve graveyards are negated, and neither players can remove cards in the graveyard from play. In addition, increase the attack and defense of all monsters that include Gravekeepers in their name by 500 points. So it's only stuff that affects stuff in the graveyard, not once it hits the graveyard. So like recruiters work, Songan works, but stuff that affects the graveyard like Monster Reborn, Call of the Haunted, Premature Burial, none of that works. And then also the big effect here, aside from the attack and defense gain, which is actually pretty decent in GOAT format, is going to be that effect that says nobody can banish cards from the graveyard, or remove them from play, I should say, rather. And that's really good against the Chaos matchup, right? It's just natural protection against BLS and Chaos Orc, Kaiku, just really good. All right, next up we have the traps. We have 3 Rite of Spirit. This is going to be the Monster Reborn for the deck, and it is unaffected by Necrovalley. So that's why we're not playing Premature Burial or Call of the Haunted, because we have Rite of the Spirit. It says select 1 monster card that includes Gravekeepers and its card name from your graveyard and special summon it in face-up attack or defense. This card's activation and effect is not affected by Necrovalley. So this is actually better than both Premature Burial and Call of the Haunted, because Premature Burial and Call of the Haunted obviously have to stay up on the field. Otherwise, that monster is going to go away. Well, Premature Burial can be giant tornaded, but that's too much detail. They're better anyways, because this is going to go to the graveyard and the monster is going to stay, regardless of whether that Premature Burial or Call of the Haunted are destroyed. This doesn't matter. And Premature Burial has a cost, so these are just insanely better. Obviously, they can't hit Songan, Breaker, and your non-Gravekeeper monsters, but that's fine. Next up, we have some generically good traps. We have Mere Force, Torrential Tribute, and Ring of Destruction. Don't need to say much about them. And lastly, we have 3 Solemn Judgment. Spell Shield Type 8 is a very popular choice in this deck. I think mostly because sometimes you get bricked up on too many Necrovalleys, and you can have like a discard. But I opted to play Solemn Judgment. I don't have enough space to play anything else. You could just straight up play Spell Shield Type 8 instead of Solemn. That's not a bad move either, because it has protection for your Gravekeeper Spy, your Guard, your Song, anything you're going to set down. And then, like I said, you do eventually get more than 1 Necrovalley in hand, so if you want to just get like a Pot of Greed, Delinquent Duo, Graceful Charity, it could be good in those situations. But yeah, if you guys like Goat, Edison, Tengu, Hat format, we got it all here. Subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace out.